Hello, fellow humans, and welcome to the Madhouse. I'm Josh, and today I want to talk about why I hate Star Wars. Before we get started then, this video will be chock full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen Star Wars and you don't want to know about who certain people's relatives might be, then look away now. Anyway, Star Wars is widely regarded as one of the best film series ever made. It's full of excitement, action, it has a well-developed lore, and it's full of laser sword-wielding space wizards, which is kind of cool. Yes, I'm exaggerating a bit when I say that I hate it, because quite frankly, I don't. I enjoy it very much. I saw all of the other films when I was a kid, and I still watch them every now and again now. And when episode 7 came out, I went to see it maybe, 4 times when I went to the cinema? The first time it was in 3D, and it was fantastic. Those ships flew straight over my head, was on the front row, and it felt amazing. As a film, it's a cinematic and auditory masterpiece, but in terms of story and characterization, it is very, very lacking. Until recently, I would have agreed and said that it was one of the best film series ever made, but I can't anymore because I'm a literature student, I'm a writer and a reader, and I'm also now trying my own hand at screenwriting, and quite frankly, I cannot not analyse these films, and what I've seen is very disappointing and utterly lacking in many of the qualities that would have made it truly great. One thing, it is utterly simplistic. Let's start with the key theme of all the Star Wars films that unites them, the Force. The Force is separated into the light side and the dark, and this is a highly reductive form of morality that is simply damaging and not helpful to anybody. The universe is not so simple or binary. Morality is far from being that simple, and there being some magic forces which uphold this flawed idea of the way the world works is simply, well, flawed. I've said it already. Morality is not and never should be simply black and white. I think we can all say that killing is bad. It's something that none of us really want to do and we all try to avoid, but are there no circumstances in which it's the right thing to do? Say someone was going to kill your mother or rape a child. Would you uphold your principle that killing someone was wrong and let your mother be murdered? Let those children be abused and have to deal with the pain of that experience for their entire lives? Absolutely not. You should intervene and save them, because morality is never so simple. There are always exceptions to the rules. The rules themselves are more like guidelines, because every situation is different, and to judge things purely by right, wrong, good, evil, light side, dark side is too reductive, too simple, and it helps nobody. Another reason I dislike Star Wars is because it has possibly my least favourite trope in anything: chosen ones. That is to say, a hero who, for some reason, be it destiny, a god, or a little green man who lives in a swamp and is slightly insane, they have been at the centre of a prophecy or whatever that makes them the only person who could possibly make a difference, who could possibly save the world, and I hate it. It's very useful if you're making something for children, I admit, but it is too simplistic for something that is meant for a family, an audience that includes adults. I don't want heroes who save the day because they have been endowed masochistic powers by destiny. I want someone who saves the day because they are simply able to do it. You don't want someone who is forced there by the whims of fate. Simply put, someone who is there and able to do good is a far more thrilling story than someone who was made for it, because that simply does not happen. The world is not full of ancient prophecies and chosen ones. The world is full of ordinary people living ordinary lives, ordinary men, women and non-binary people who rise up to the challenge, and that, because it's real, is so much more thrilling, so much more meaningful than just, "Oh, chosen one, I am not worthy. You must be the one to fire this very strange device into this handily placed channel to blow up the space station." Because there are, I don't know, more qualified pilots who can do it. My third main problem with it is simply Gungans. Jar Jar Binks should not have been a thing, but we can move on from that one fairly quickly. Number 4 is the technology. Now, It's not that it's unrealistic, because it's science fiction. You're allowed to have unrealistic technology. Let's face it, faster than light travel and laser weapons are the staple of the science fiction genre, and I enjoy them very, very much. But there are some things they don't think about. They use manual targeting when firing lasers, which is just fucking stupid. Fire a laser weapon and you miss, and it's going to go very, very, very wrong. They are letting people whose reaction times are simply not fast enough to deal with these weaponry fire them and avoid them, and it would be impossible. A targeting computer could fire 3 million shots at the time someone is no distant position enough to fire one. It's daft. It doesn't make for such an interesting film, I admit, but it makes no sense, and things have to make sense within the rules of their own universe. Also, speaking of faster than light, in The Force Awakens, there is one part that really does bother me. Using the Millennium Falcon to get inside the Starkiller base's shield, they do so by travelling at the speed of light. The thing is, the speed of light is very, very fast. You can't just turn your finger off the moment you're inside the shields and expect nothing to happen, because you are travelling at 300,000 meters per second. Meaning, a simple manual switch is not going to do it. No computer is going to do it. You turn that off, your ship is going to hit the ground and be atomized. It breaches the laws of physics in ways that are not explained in that universe. And don't just say, "Ooh, the Force did it," because that is a terrible answer. It's lazy writing. Speaking of lazy writing, let's talk about Luke and Leia in the original trilogy. We see how Luke was tormented by the dark side after he lost his mentors, after he was faced with extreme hardship. Now, I'm not saying he didn't go through very tough times. He lost people he cared about. But then let's look at his sister, a woman who has faced significantly greater hardships than Luke, I would say. Why? Because not only is she a leading figure in galactic politics at a very young age, she sees her entire planet blown up. And who is on that planet but the parents who raised her, all of her friends, anyone she's ever cared about, everything she owns. Her entire way of life was blown up right in front of her, and she is perfectly calm about it. She doesn't feel sad. She's there to comfort Luke about his loss. She has faced a loss far worse than anything he can possibly imagine, and she is expected to be fine. And nobody is fine in a situation like that. Nobody could ever be fine in a situation like that and be a sane, rational, functioning human being as Leia is. It's lazy writing to just focus on the man's issues. Face it, if Luke's planet was destroyed, it would have been made a really big deal. But no. It really winds me up. It's lazy and kind of sexist, and I don't like it. And now for my final gripe with Star Wars, I will say this is not really a problem with the thing itself, it's just my personal preference. Star Wars is set in a galaxy where the current civilization has existed in some form or other for 30,000 years. The technology has been around for a very, very long time. There are no secrets to discover in Star Wars. Everything has already been done. There's no new places to find, no new species to find. If I wanted to read about wizards and magic powers, or people having duels with swords, I would read The Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. Star Wars is just science fantasy, not science fiction. There is no real science in there, but you have to call it science something when it's set in space. That's all there is to it. If you just put it on a single planet, it would be fantasy. And it's simply nothing new in that genre. That story has been told 1,000 times over, and far better than Star Wars was. For me, science fiction should be about humanity and humanity's growth. Potentially we could grow to the stage where Star Wars is a possibility, but what we really want is, for me at least, something like Star Trek, where humanity is just beginning on this journey into the world and is improving all the time. The technology is not perfect, it has glitches, it is constantly being reworked and upgraded. Their values are shifting and changing depending on what they see. They encounter new species, they explore, they make discoveries, because space is, after all, the final frontier. Yes, I like Star Wars, but I am forever a Trekkie.